Oh,
Right. So when we talked about Zachariah learning from Maryam, this young woman,
okay.
and looking at all the things that she had provided for her, it was a really nice reinforcement of the idea of knowing how to just ask for something and knowing that the strength of the connection that's there, and that if you're asking is what I came away with is if you're asking is coming from a pure place,
Uh-huh.
that those things will manifest for you. So that's kind of where what I ended up with thinking about that. What we talked about last week was that Zachariah learning that it wasn't about preserving his ego, his line, his family, blah. It was about what's your true need and how do you just go in and ask for it with a pure heart and with the knowledge that you're not talking to somebody who's separate who may or may not give you that thing and might withhold it, but that you're speaking with somebody whose heart is with you, who wants you to have the
Uh-huh.
things that will benefit you and ask from that perspective. That's kind of what I came away with.
Yeah, which is like what it's known in every culture. Ask and it is given, as long as, like you said, it comes from the heart and you are tuned in, like, you know, like you're going to receive what you are looking for. And the point also that we mentioned last time, he is learning from someone that he took care of. Like, so like we are here, like I say, we're human being here. We are connected to each other through relationships, and we learn from our connections to the others. So it doesn't matter what age,
Right.
because
In
we
fact,
are
it's
all,
even more interesting in a way that it's from someone younger.
yeah,
In other words, as we age, I think there can be a tendency to dismiss younger people and what they have to bring.
mm-hmm,
So it's just like, well, you just don't know what you're talking about yet. There's that kind of feeling. But for him to, in a way, just enter her space with humility
mm-hmm,
and understand that she has something of value to bring is a reminder, I think, for us to don't forget the generations coming behind and don't dismiss them because of some cultural message,
yeah,
but be ready to receive.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like we talked earlier, is like how you give space to the grandkids and to your own kids and just watch them and not trying to like, oh, I need to protect. I know better.
Right, right. Yeah, and that's to me that is a very for me that comes from ego. That comes from, well, I know how to do this and they don't know how to do it yet, as if they're not capable of making their own
Their
choices.
own choices. And they learn from their own choices.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So we will continue with the story of Miriam through chapter Miriam, and we're going to see the reply and the Quranic teaching about his request and how it came so fast. So let me look for that chapter. It's here. Yeah. So last time we were working still on the first segment. Sometimes my document goes down when I teach the other classes. Yeah. So we stopped here. I think I put here this note. So we stopped here when, like you said, uh, when he was asking for someone to inherit the teachings of Yaqub, the family of Yaqub. Yaqub in the Arabic language, I mean, in the Western language, it's basically Jacob.
Jacob, yeah.
Yes, Jacob. Yeah. So we can see how the answer came correct. Yeah, Zachariah. So he was called. Oh, Zachariah, indeed, we give you glad tidings of a young boy. So here, ask and it's given. We will give you what you called for. And they even gave a prediction name, Ismuhu Yahya. So its name is Yahya, which is known in the Western culture as John. Now, Yahya in Arabic comes from the root word hay. and Hay is a living. So, and that's why it ended the verse by saying, an attribute we have never made before, which means that name is going to be a living name. And we're going to see the interaction of Yahya, John, and Jesus. And those two names are living until now. Like, so you see, the Quran is answering Zachariah's call and is saying, you're going to get this boy, and this boy is going to be Yahya. So John doesn't, I don't know about John in English, if John has that meaning of a living.
Yeah, usually when you see John in a name book, it's like beloved of God.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, here really the word Yahya has the root word of Hay, which is one of, like we say, the 99 attributes of God is Hay, is a living God. So, so basically, this boy is gonna have this attribute. It's a living attribute. So it could be, like I said, maybe we are still recalling his teaching until now. He's the one who preserved the teachings of, Yaqub, Jacob. So we'll see. So he was like a human now. The ego comes in, even though he asked from the heart, but he's questioning. He said, my, how can I have a young boy when my wife is wounded and I have reached, this old age in a way?
Yeah.
So how can I have that? And the
The fear.
yeah,
Yeah.
so then it communicated. It's, you can see in the Arabic word qala qala, but when it's the human who's speaking, I usually say he said. But when it is source, Allah who's communicating, or the Malaika, the MLA, the, larger consciousness system or angels, whatever you call it, I usually put communicated because they're not going to talk with a mouth like us, but it's
Right.
communication that you receive. So it communicated, it is, as Europe communicated, it is light upon us. Like this is very light. This is an easy task in a way.
Mm.
I created you before when you were nothing. So just look at yourself. You were nothing. You were not a human on earth, and here you are. So if I created you, I can create a son for you, which is logic. So basically, the ego tries, the intellect, how can I have, trying to use the logic. I mean, I'm old, my wife is wounded, how can we have this child?
Mm.
But the is he's getting this answer of no, just like I created you from before, now I can create whatever you're asking for. So it just comes like that. So he wanted a sign, not only like that's a human thing. Like, okay, but I want a sign. Don't you feel sometimes like it's a human thing? We ask, we feel the answer, we hear it, but now I just want a sign. I want a solid proof. قال رب اجعل لي آية, which is, can I have a sign? It says, your sign is that you will not speak to the people for 3 nights completely. So basically, it's silence. And I wanted to stop here a little bit to see your point about it. Like he was said, just don't talk for 3 days. He's looking for a solid sign or something, but he's getting, no, your sign is silence.
So in my vernacular, it's like say, just shut up, be still, be quiet. It'll be all
Exactly.
right. Just listen.
Yeah. And this is where we all get to physical, and we can't help it. We are in physical reality and we want something material, solid in front of me, something that come from the sky to show me, like, okay, you're gonna have this. But Source is teaching him and teaching us through him.
Yeah.
Silence, go still, be in that moment, and you're
Yeah.
gonna feel it.
Yeah. There's a beautiful song that I recall from singing in like middle school or something, but it has to do with reaching out to the stars, talking about the stars and how
Uh-huh.
amazing they are and the power and this. And one of the things that the writer, the poet said was, speak to us in words we can understand. give us something we can understand. The
Mhm.
human, it's like reduce it for us so we can do it with our human brains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Instead of just going, okay, I accept what you're saying, and then being quiet.
being quiet. And it gave him 3 days. And myself, I learned when I ask or I have a task or I'm in challenge, I think that verse keeps me like, in order in a way. I just tell myself, okay, take 3 days, just be quiet, just go through your silence. First of all, especially in challenges, the more you talk about the problem, you are amplifying that energy. And because we are all connected as far as energy, you're just like making the other person feel it or whatever. But if you learn to just like quiet your mind, let it go to silence, you'll feel like, okay, it's easy. Like, and give it 3 days, not only one day.
Yeah.
3 days, complete 3 days. So that's something I felt like it's worth to talk about and share.
Yeah. Would you say that you're not only amplifying what's out there, but you're inviting it in? In other words, that yes, you're sending something out because you have a worry or a fear or an ego thing that you're working on, and it vibrates out because
Yeah,
everything's vibration, right? We all pick it
yeah,
up because we're all connected. It comes in as well,
yeah.
and causes confusion in the intellect and how to think about things. So that silence could be so, it's like joining everything and isolating all at the same time. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, yeah. And it's so powerful to get into that. In a way, silence means the void. And from the void, you can create something good for yourself or just listen to your higher self or your spirit or source, whatever people want to name it. Allah, whatever. Like, I'm so used to, like I say, call me whatever, I'm still the same.
Right, right, right.
Mhm. So, as I continue with the verses, so then on verse 11, it says, so he came out upon his folk from the spiritual workshop that where he also learned from Miriam to ask, but he inspired them to be in motion morning and evening. So now usually I put motion or put vibrate by better.
Mm,
So he's just asking them to vibrate, to just be in motion. So, but this is spiritual workspace. So vibrate in that spirit with a
mhm.
quiet mouth in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And usually I tell people like my, the students who are taking exploring the Quran, I go back to this point where it says 3 nights completely.
Mm,
So why the night? Usually the night, lots of people like during the day, you are maybe obligated to do your work or to interact with family or if you have children or whatever. But the night is the quiet time for you to get into your connection to spirit. So, and that's why it didn't say days. And in my opinion, who knows, in my opinion, it's still giving room to the learner after Zachariah to like, you cannot say like, oh, I don't have time, I work,
mhm,
but you do have some night time
mhm.
to go to that stillness.
Yeah. And I think nighttime is interesting because looking at it from a modern perspective, in my perspective, a nighttime,
Mm-hmm.
I believe a lot of us, I know I do, just kind of decompress from the daytime and do
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily in meditation or in silence, but it's when you kind of do the more superfluous, not so important things, that
Yeah.
seem important. But I think I know I forget to use that time in that way that is being suggested in those verses.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And also, I noticed, like in this society, and that's what I tell my own children, because they grow up here. I grew up with the Sufi masters, so there is a big difference. I see my kids, they come from school, they finish the homework or whatever, or if they are working now, they finish with work, they come home, first thing is put the TV on.
Mhm.
Okay. And then whether the TV is news or movies or shows, so it goes from politics to this, and their mind is just absorbing whatever is not necessary for your own life. You're just
Right.
like, and then I always tell them, like, why do you have this noise? This is the night time. Nighttime is supposed to be to reflect about your day and how can you have a better day tomorrow if you come back. So that was like always my intake from this society where it's full of TV and entertainment in a way.
Yeah, it's funny because I think the noise, if you want to use the word noise, in the daytime, for most people, it's a directed kind of noise. In other words, you
Yeah,
have to respond to something, you have to get this paperwork out, you have to sell this car, you have to do
yeah.
something, where and we get so used to the noise in this society that to go home to quiet is very uncomfortable
Hmm.
because we're looking for noise. We're not, we don't know silence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they don't know the dark. Like the lights are completely on all the time, and they go
Oh,
check on the kids, and they are sleeping with the lights on in their bedrooms, and I'm going more room to turn off the lights.
yeah. Let them be in the dark. It's okay.
So anyway, so let's go back to the teaching of Zechariah and Miriam. So now the verse jump at 12 that he already has the boy and he is in his youth or young adult, and we are moving away from talking to Zechariah to talking directly to John, Yahya. Or John held on to the book with power. So he was already given the book from his father, the book that has the teaching of Jacob. So he's told, like, take that book with power, seriously. Like I tell my children all the time, hey, this is hard work, take it seriously. And we approached him with judgment. So he has a good judgment and sound judgment. Like al-hukam in the Arabic language is judgment. And also we have hikmah, okay, which is a noun also, which is wisdom and sound judgment. So he was given that. And then on verse 13, it says, also tenderness from within us. So basically, this boy has been really protected by the system and development. So he's well developed, like a nice, pure soul. So it must be the soul that came to this body of this boy is an old soul, old spirit that was really well developed and very well aware. And verse 14, it says, and he's also kind to his parents. So he was well nurtured and kind to his parents, and he was not a disobedient and tyrant. And I wanted to circle the word his parents, so basically mom and dad. And I put here young adult. This just to compare later with the boy Jesus.
Mhm.
But he was given judgment when he was in his youth. And this verse 15 ends the story of, it says, peace be upon him, the period he was born. When John was born, he was born in a period of time. We will see it's connected also to Jesus' time, the period he was born and the period he dies, when he dies. But it says also the period he gets brought alive. Now, why I'm circling this for now, because we're going to see later on that Jesus had the same statement. So sometimes I wonder, like, why people always feel, oh, Jesus is going to be resurrected and comes back now, but they never talk anything about John.
Mhm.
Or maybe to me is the Quran is stating John or Jesus or every human is going to go through the same process. So that's just a note for later when we see the life of Jesus, because now at this segment we're going to get into Maryam. So I feel before I move to Maryam, I would like to see if you want to conclude this topic of Zachariah and Yahya, Zachariah and John.
Well, it's funny from a different discipline, something that caught my eye
Mm-hmm.
was in men's work, they've got the what do you call them? Archetypes
Uh-huh.
of the warrior, the king, the what, and one of the opposites is from the king. So you've got the mature expression of that, and then you've got the not so helpful, immature expression of that, and they call it the high chair tyrant. So
Mm-hmm.
when in the first one it said he would not be a tyrant,
Tyrant.
I was like, yeah, it made me think of that and the division of personality, and that it's fascinating because I don't know very much about John, and so to kind of have this perspective of we're all not so different from Jesus. Does that it's
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's he's saying, look, we brought this life in and he's imbued with all these qualities.
Yeah.
So that's the possibility that lives in each one of us.
Exactly. That's why I wanted to point this before we get to Jesus, what they call Christ consciousness.
Yeah,
We're going to see, like, hey, people before Christ had that consciousness, and
right,
he came to remind us we can all be.
right.
Yeah. And I feel the chapter Miriam could have started with the story of Miriam and Jesus. But I feel for some reason, which to me is the Quran was channeled by Muhammad, basically. He was receiving this information. And the chapter Maryam started with recalling Zechariah first, because he was the caregiver of Maryam. He took care of her. And then the story of him learning from Maryam, and he called for having a boy. This boy comes John. And then we're going to see that John and Jesus are basically later on in the history. They're at the same time and they were dealing with the same people, you know. So
Yeah.
yeah. So I think it's enough for today. And then next time, because like if I can just share the document quickly with you, just to show you what we're going to do next week, is we finished with the first section of this chapter. That was 1 to 15. So if I go back to the beginning, Miriam is part 1, section 1, verses 1 to 15. I think we did a good job with them. And now we're going to cover next time the section 2, verses 16 to 40, which has so many segments. So it's going to talk about Miriam first and her journey and how she got pregnant with Jesus, then Jesus' birth, and then Jesus' youth time, and then the message of Jesus and how he had to deal with the children of Israel because he was sent to them. And then, was he really crucified or not? That's a good question that we're going to see what the Quran is talking about. And then we see, you know, the teachings of Jesus, what he came here to teach us all. And at the end, we're going to finish with the chapter if we still have time. Okay, and you're still available.
I'm available. I make myself available.
Okay, thank you, Leslie.